So, hi guys. I just wanted to check in with you because we roughly have about 2 weeks left, and so I wanted to go over um, your last few assignments and just kind of remind you of some things that we may be still struggling with as a class. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So I'll post these notes after the meeting. After I do this video for you rather. So your upcoming assignments, you have your reference page that you're working on this week, and I'm gonna kind of show you some tricks to get around that. You have a full formatting check that's due week 10, at the beginning of week 10. You have your best research incorporation example, which is also due during week 10. And then your final paper is due Sunday, May 2nd. So you're really close to done. So I want to help you get there. So the first thing I want to talk about, I guess let's just go in order, would be the reference page. So I'm going to make this small. Um, and I'm just going to get into my CCP library. So this week, you all should be working with your reference page. Now, if you did most of your work in my CCP, which you should have, because it makes your life so much easier, and the course kind of guided you to do that, then your reference page is really easy. It just kind of, you just go back to your sources. So I'm just going to point this out for you. So I'm going to go to student quick links. I'm going to go back to my library. If you were working out a CCP library, which you should have been again, I'm going to go to databases. Uh, so I'm going to go to opposing viewpoints. So if I use opposing viewpoints in context, I would click on it. You want to get back to the article that you used. And I'm just going to put on any old thing. So I don't know. Let's do the death penalty. All right. So say if I did the death penalty and one of my articles was on the death penalty. And I'll go with this one. So government executions debase US law and culture. So say if you use this article in your paper, to get your reference page, it has to be in APA format. So I would scroll down to the very end. And so they give you kind of source citations. So if this were MLA paper, you would of course use MLA 8th edition. We're working with APA 7th edition. I would just click on this and literally I would just copy and paste. This is your source. This is your citation for your reference page. You want to make sure it looks like this so that the first line is not indented and all subsequent lines following this are indented. So again, I would just copy and paste. And then I would put it in my Word document. Whatever that Word document, that's a different document. Oops. Whatever that Word document happens to be. And so if I bring it into this thing that I'm about to talk about, so say if this were my reference page, and so just imagine here's references. This is my last page in my paper. This is all you're handing in this week. I would paste. Here's the source. I would set it up so that it looks like it does on the paper, on the page. Let's see. As much as I can. Sometimes it just can be a little tricky. I have to figure that out. But you want to move this up as much as you can. I'll come back to that at the end, but you get the point. So I just copied and paste. That's it. So if you're working with CCP, all you have to do is copy and paste your sources onto your reference page. I know lots of people like EasyBib and all that stuff, but if you're working in CCP library, it already does the work for you. So again, you just scroll down, whatever article you use, scroll down to the end of it and hit copy and paste. That's pretty much all you have to do. Let me see if I do select and if it does it better if I hit select, if it does it automatically. I'm just trying to see if it does that. Nope. So you would still have to mess around with the margins and make sure that the margins are correct. And you want to remember that, again, the first line is not indented, all subsequent lines are, and that it should be in alphabetical order. So the reference page shouldn't be that much work this week. You want to remember that you want at least 6 references. For a research paper, at least 6. Most of you will probably have more, but you want at least 6. All right, so that's done. So next week you have the full formatting check. And so the full formatting check is you're handing me in a rough draft of your paper. I am not reading the entire paper, but you should hand it in. And so your final paper should be about 10 full pages. So that's what you should hand in for the full formatting check. And again, I'm not reading it, but you're handing in kind of everything that we did so far. So to kind of put this all together, you're going to go back to that first assignment, your research question, and in your thesis, you're going to add that, and then you're going to add your literature review, and then you're going to add your discussion and analysis. We've been working on this all semester. So even though I'm asking for those 10 pages, and you should be kind of making it pretty and making it into a cohesive argument, you have the work there. So next week that's due. However, I'm not checking, I'm not reading the paper. It's a rough draft. What I'm looking for that full formatting check is that your paper is set up in APA format. So that means that your reference page is correct, that your title page is correct, that you have headers and footers, or at least headers. We're not doing footers, so that you have headers. And I'll pause there and talk about that. So here's the reference. So lots of people kind of in my other classes were like, what do you mean a header? And so if you notice that this paper can feel unwieldy, and so what you want to do is you can break it down into parts. Now you don't have to have a header for your introduction. You don't need that because the introduction is pretty obvious, but you can go refer back to your outline, and whatever the major points in your outlines are, that could be your header. So for most of you, if you follow the outline provided in the module, then most of you can have a header that says historical research section. Most of you can have a header that says current news story summary. And most of you can have a header of analysis and discussion. I'm not sure if you would need one for conclusion, but if you feel like you do, go ahead and throw it in. But this is just a way to help you organize your paper and to kind of break the paper into manageable parts, which we've been doing all semester. So that answers the questions about headers. Okay. The best research incorporation example is just kind of showing me how you use APA format in terms of in-text citation. How are you incorporating research into your paper? So I want to go over in-text citation for APA one more time. Because some people are still struggling with it, which is it's all good. This is an introductory research class. I'm not expecting anyone to be perfect, but you want to kind of leave here feeling more confident in your APA skills. So in terms of APA in-text citation, there are 2 ways to do it. There's parenthetical, and then there's narrative in-text citations. So for a parenthetical citation, I do my whole paraphrase, or I put my whole quote in, and then at the very end of the quote or paraphrase, I have the author's last name. For the paraphrase, I have the author's last name and the date of publication or the year of publication. For the quote, I would have the author's last name, as well as the year that the work was published, as well as the locator, which would either be the page number or MP, which stands for no page. So narrative citations work a little differently. So for narrative citations, I introduce the source, the paraphrase, or the quote with the author. And so that means that I have the author's last name, and then in parentheses, immediately following the author's last name, I have the publication year. Now, if it's a paraphrase, that's all I need. If it's a quote, I have to kind of, at the end of the quote, when I come out of it, I still have to give the page number or the locator, which might be MP for no page if it's an online source, or if you're not sure what the page number is. So here are the examples I give. And this is I'm not saying anything that hasn't been posted already in videos, but it doesn't hurt to, for me to say it one more time. So Goodman, so here's my author. So Goodman, and here's the publication year. So a narrative citation, again, immediately after the author's name, I have the publication year. And this is a paraphrase. And so I'm putting whatever he says in my own words. That's all I need for this citation, if it's a paraphrase. So this is a parenthetical citation for a paraphrase. Here's an example of a parenthetical citation. I'm sorry, this is a narrative citation. Here's an example of a parenthetical citation. So again, the difference is narrative citation is kind of embedded within the sentence itself, and then parenthetical citation kind of comes after the sentence. So here's my paraphrase, and then when I come out, just because it's a paraphrase, I just have Goodman, comma, 2020, the publication year. You don't do both. You either choose one or the other. So you want to figure out how you introduce most of your sources. If you do it on the tail end, it has to be Goodman in comma 2020 in parentheses. If you do it on the front end, it's the author's last name and then the publication year. Now the other thing is that if for APA citation, you generally, if it makes your sentence clunky, you don't need to kind of incorporate the author's full name, particularly if you look at APA citation, they don't give you the author's full name. They just give you the last name to work with. And so you can just kind of refer to the author as by his or her last name. You don't have to give me the full name if you have to look it up or if it makes your sentence clunky. And sometimes you don't have to give me the title either if it makes your sentence clunky. All right, so here's the example of a narrative citation for the quote. So again, anytime I stop with the author, immediately following the author's name, I need that year. And that's all a narrative citation is, right? So Goodman 2020, and so I kind of introduce it, set it up. And now I have according to Goodman. I don't need that 2020 again because it's pretty clear that I'm talking about the same person. So the general rule of thumb is that, you can, within one paragraph, if it's clear it's the same author, then you put that narrative citation the first time, but you don't have to do it multiple times in a paragraph. When you move to the next paragraph, you probably want to do it again. So according to Goodman, here's my quote. When I come out of the quote, I either have NP, which stands for no page. And so if you're working with the online source and you don't know what the page number is, just put NP, you're good. Or if you have a page number, you're going to put page and whatever the number is. And here's an example of a parenthetical citation for a quote. So I made this whole thing into a quote. And again, a parenthetical citation means that I'm just putting everything at the end. So I need Goodman, the year. If there's no page number, I'm going to put MP, or Goodman, the year. And if there's a page number, I'm going to put page 45 or 45. And I think that's it. So, use this as a model. I'm going to stop my screen. I will post this so that you have it, so that you have the notes. Refer back to them. You're really, really close to done. If you have any questions or concerns as we wrap up this class, just shoot me an email. Take care. Good luck. We're done. You're really close to done. You'll be fine. Take care.